Walls and floors. Introduction to the module. A handy person provides walls and floors services. This module will teach you some of the very basic tasks related to the area. Topics to be covered: patching a drywall hole fast, repairing a drywall crack, fixing small holes and nail pops, hanging pictures straight and level, patching a vinyl floor, replacing a damaged floor tile. Patching a drywall hole fast. The traditional method of repairing holes in walls is to face the opening, put wood backing behind it, cut and screw on a drywall patch, and tape the sides. Aluminium patches, available reception centers and paint and hardware stores give equivalent results with much less work. The patches, which are available in various sizes, are stiff enough to span holes and thin enough to disappear after taping and painting. Select a patch large enough to overlap the opening on all sides by an inch. Patches are often cut or overlapped as required. Clean off broken edges and tears around the hole. Then cover the hole entirely with the patch, sticky side toward the wall. Prepare joint compound per manufacturer's instructions. Spread the primary coat of the joint compound over the patch with a good taping knife, flat enough to ascertain the outline of the mesh through it. Let it dry overnight. When it's dry, apply a wider second coat, then feather out the compound on all sides to form the patch blend-in. Then apply a final, third coat after the second coat dries. Spread the compound in thin coats extending 8 to 12 inches beyond the patch altogether directions. After the ultimate coat has dried, sand the patched area with a sanding sponge until it feels smooth and even. Prime then paint. Repairing a drywall crack. Eventually, even the best-built houses develop a few cracks because of settling, usually around doors and windows. Find out how to repair them the proper way in order that they don't come. Whether the walls are made from plaster or drywall, you'll repair the cracks in 2 steps over each day or 2 and get the world able to sand and paint. Use paper tape, it's stronger than fiberglass tape for wall repairs. Cut a V-notch through the complete length of the crack, 1 by 8 to 1 by 4 inches deep, removing all loose wall material. Protect woodwork with painter's tape. Using a 6-inch taping knife, embed paper into the joint compound. Moisten the paper with sweat, lay it over the gap, and pinch excess compound and air underneath with the blade to prevent trapping air bubbles under the tape. Apply an extra thin layer of compound to either side of the tape and feather it off 2 inches. Allow time for drying. Apply a second, and third, if necessary, coat of compound to either side of the joint, smoothing it out 6 to 7 inches. Using a 12-inch taping brush, smooth the compound to a thin, even coat. Allow the repair to dry completely before sanding it smooth and painting it, to avoid exposing the tape. Fixing small holes and nail pops. Small holes caused by screws or hooks, wall fasteners or drywall fasteners that happen are simple to repair, but again time-consuming because you almost always have to repaint the walls. Nail pops are common and particularly irritating because you're likely to possess quite one. But drywall screws sometimes crop up, too, resulting from damp framing that dries out and shrinks during the primary year or 2 in new construction. Drive a popped nail below the surface of the drywall with a hammer and a nail set. If you've screws, dig the drywall compound from their heads with a utility knife and turn them in tight with a screwdriver. Then dimple the opening slightly concave with the hammer to indent any raised edges. But look out to not crush the drywall core. Besides, cut away any loose joint compound and paper tears with a pointy utility knife. This is often a superb technique to use with old wall fasteners also. It's usually easier to tap them into the wall slightly rather than pull them out. Drive drywall screws about 1.5 inches above and below the popped nail. Sink the screw head just below the surface of the drywall. Prepare compound with manufacturer's directions. Fill the holes with a joint compound, with a 6 inches taping knife, swiping first across the holes, then down during A+ pattern. Let dry, apply a second coat. The primary coat will shrink slightly, leaving a rather smaller dent filled by the second coat. Scrape the surplus off the encompassing wall so you don't build up a hump. Sand lightly to blend with the encompassing wall. Prime and paint. Hanging pictures straight and level. Hanging one picture is as easy as nailing a hook to the wall. But once you want to hold two or more aligned with one another, things get complicated. Here's how pros achieve perfection fast and frustration-free. Level and align. Make paper patterns just like the photographs, then establish a level line on the wall. An inexpensive laser level is ideal for this project, but a typical level also will work. When you have arranged the patterns perfectly, mark the top center of each with the corner of a sticky note as a reference point. Find the hanger locations. Use 2 hangers for every picture for extra support and to assist the image from tipping. Stretch the hanger wire with 2 fingers spaced equally distant from the edges of the picture frame. Keep the wire parallel to the highest of the frame. Measure the distance between your fingertips. Find the distance from the top edge. Leave 1 finger in situ and measure from the wire to the highest. Use this and, therefore, the previous dimension to position the image hangers on the wall. Transfer the hanger measurements to the wall. Find the hanger positions by measuring down from the sticky note and to each side from the center. A reasonable level with inches marked on it makes this much easier. Keep the level of the hanger. Nail the hooks. Then line up rock bottom of the hooks with the marks and drive the picture hanger nails through the angled guides on the hooks. Before you hang the picture, stick a pair of clear rubber bumpers on the back lower corners of the frame to protect the wall and help keep the picture level. You will find these with the image hanging supplies or within the cabinet hardware department. They're called door bumpers. Hang the picture. Slip the wire over both hooks. Slide the image sideways across the wires until it's level. Use an equivalent process to hold the remaining pictures. Patching a vinyl floor. You can usually fix a small slice or tear in sheet vinyl floor by lifting the loose edges, applying a little vinyl flooring adhesive and then placing a weight over the repair. But for burns or major injuries, a transplant is the solution. Using a straight edge and sharp utility knife, carefully cut out the damaged area. If the flooring design has faux grout lines in it, as most do, cut along the edges of the lines. Peel up the damaged section and remove the old backing and adhesive with a paint scraper or putty knife. A hairdryer or heat gun, set on low, will soften the adhesive. Matching the pattern precisely, tape the cut-out damaged piece over the scrap, and use the damaged pieces as a template for cutting the new patch to size. Test the fit of the patch. Spread adhesive on the floor with a small notched applicator. Set the patch in place and use a rolling pin to force out any air pockets under the patch. Give the adhesive time to line, then apply a vinyl seam sealant to the seams. Different adhesives and seam sealants require slightly different treatment. Be sure to follow the manufacturer's directions for both. Replacing a damaged floor tile. When a tile chips or breaks, the sole thanks to fixing it's to exchange it. The total repair time will be around 2 hours, spread over a couple of days. Most of your time will be spent on the first day removing the damaged tile, the grout and the old adhesive and then installing the new tile. The final step, done a day or 2 later, is regrouting around the new tile. Remove the damaged tile with a cold chisel and hammer. Start at the edge of the tile, end the grout. Ceramic tile is brittle, small pieces will fly. Wear safety glasses and gloves. Be careful not to chip the surrounding tiles. Remove the old grout with a grout saw. Some grout can be chipped out with a chisel, however, you will need to sear away all of the old grout to ensure a proper fit for the new tile. Scrape off the old adhesive with a cold chisel. Get rid of as much as possible, so the new tile will adhere properly and lie flat. Scraping is the best way to remove old adhesive. Don't use a heat gun or solvent unless you want a big mess. Apply the adhesive, thin-set mortar, with a notched trowel on the back of the tile. Be sure to spread the adhesive out to the edges. Don't skimp on the adhesive, too little will make the tile sit lower than the surrounding tiles. Any excess adhesive will lose out and can be removed after the next step. Place the tile, making sure that the grout lines are even with the adjacent tiles. To set the tile firmly into the adhesive, use a short length of wood and gently tap it with a hammer. If the tile is lower than the surrounding tiles, remove it, apply additional adhesive and then reset it. Scrap out any excess adhesive from between the tiles with a screwdriver. Once the tile is set, stay off it until the adhesive is dry, usually 24 hours. Spread the grout using a rubber grout float. Hold the float at a 45-degree angle to the tile. Move the grout in both directions at an angle to the grout lines to make sure it fills the gaps between the tiles. Let the grout sit for about 10 minutes, and then wipe the area with a damp grout sponge. A grout sponge has rounded corners and is the best way to shape the grout lines. Once the grout has dried, usually overnight, wipe off any residue with a soft cloth. Summary. This module can be summarized as: when fixing holes in walls, the standard approach is to square the hole, place wood backing behind it, cut and screw on a drywall patch, and tape the edges. Even the best-built homes eventually grow a few cracks as a result of settling, typically around doors and windows. Paper tape is stronger than fiberglass tape for wall repairs. Hanging a single photo is as simple as nailing a hook to the wall. When a tile chips or breaks, the only way to fix it is to replace it.